Hi, my name is Lars Bunch. This is a brief tutorial describing how to use a script that I wrote called 3D Distributor. The script basically is useful for distributing 2D assets in a 3D space um, within a certain area. Um, it's good for adding a layer of sort of randomly growing grass or trees or asteroids or stars or floating heads, whatever you happen to need. So first of all, let's load up the distributor. In this case, the version I'm using is 0.03. It's a pre-production version, but it's coming along. So there it is. This is more or less what this is the full interface of the thing, and why don't we just dock it into our effects controls. This will probably give me heartburn at some point, but there it is. Okay, so here's what we've got thus far. Basically, you have inputs for x minimum and x maximum, y minimum, y maximum, z minimum, z maximum, and then you're given the number of duplicates. These numbers are all just defaults. You'll probably want to change them to something that works better for you, but they can easily be changed. You just highlight it and say type a number. We got 2000. Let's say our y minimum, we want to be negative 50. Try it that way. Maximum's 50. Let's keep these. Our number of duplicates, say we're going to do 100. Okay. Well, that's all well and good, but it's not going to do anything if we don't actually have any assets in our scene. So what we want to do is, say, add a grass element. And we have this tall grass element. Now you'll notice it's a 2D layer. It's just, I've just brought it in. The one thing that needs to be done before you run the distributor with this Run Distributor button, the one thing you need to do is make sure that this layer is highlighted. If it's not highlighted and you hit the Run Distributor, you're going to get an error, but whatever. I probably should fix that, but okay, so we highlight that. We're going to make 100 copies. So we run the distributor. And okay, what this does is it duplicates that layer, makes them all 3D, and in this case, because we have these three things checked, link new 3D layer to control null, link each layers to rotation value to control. No, that actually doesn't work. Ignore that one. And automatically shy new 3D layers. Basically, link new 3D layers to control null will create this control null up here. Obviously, automatically shy new 3D layers turns them shy, and you can see that the shy button's on. If we unshy it, you can see that we have 100 layers. Now, one thing that this script does is it preserves your original layer. It doesn't actually include it as part of the 3D distribution. In fact, it deactivates it and puts it at the bottom of the stack. The reason why I do this in the script is because I figure, at least in my usage, I may decide, this was a bad idea. I don't want to do this. So, but I want to keep that asset, and so I can delete it, or I can actually use it again. At any rate, if you don't like that behavior, well, write your own damn script. So let's try that. Okay, so we have all of these, and you'll notice that if we bring down our position and rotation, we can move our whole set of grass anywhere we want it. Right now, move it a little bit to the left, move it in Z space a bit, maybe bring it down in space. And then, why don't we add a camera so we can actually do something interesting with this. And what's our, I guess we'll do the standard 35mm camera. Okay, so, you can zoom in, or, dolly in, dolly out. And it might be better to adjust our position a little bit so that we see less of the ground area. Now, depending on what you're doing, how you're doing it, this may work. Now, one of the things is I did a minimum y of minus 50, and a maximum y of positive 50. And the problem that I seem to be running into here is that there's just way too much, essentially, lumpiness of the ground. So it's a little, some clumps are too high, some are too low. One of the things you can do to sort of ameliorate that problem is there is a way of adding a expansion controls. It's this last button here. The way you do that is you unshy your layers so you can see them all. And because it can be a pain to select them all, there's a button for selecting them, and select all 3D duplicates. Takes a second, and it just selects every duplicate layer, and it doesn't select anything else. Now we want to add our expansion controls, so we hit that button. Now we can shy these again. And now we have a layer called expansion control, and you'll see it's created 3 sliders. And what this does, let's back our camera out a little bit so we can see what it's going to do. Rotate, okay, maybe that's okay. Each one of these basically is a multiplier. So our y is a little bit too extreme. So if we reduce that, we essentially reduce the amount of difference between the highest and lowest ones. There's a bit of a and you can make it even more extreme than it originally was. So that's a way of adjusting it after the fact without having to go through and do a completely new distribution. The same applies to X and Z. So in our X position, we can expand out how far it goes. Now you'll notice it's expanding out from the left-hand edge. That's just the nature of it, and you may have to end up moving the position rotation parent to adjust your grass to exactly where you want it. Then you can also adjust your Z, and you can either expand it further so that it's less clumpy, or you can reduce that expansion so that the grass layers are closer together. And this might be better depending on the nature of your shot. So that's more or less the gist of the thing. There are a few things that will need to be improved in this script. For example, right now, each time you create a new distribution of assets, you're going to get a new position and rotation parent. That's actually probably good because you may want to distribute one set of grass here, and then, I don't know, let's say you want to add a tree or something. Here, let's just throw a tree in there. And say you want to distribute this, so maybe we only want 5 trees here. maybe our Z minimum is going to be 0 and our maximum is going to be 5,000, and that'll put it more in the background. And let's just leave the minimums. Let's put that to 0. But actually, because it's going to be in the background, let's expand that out to 6,000. Okay, we run our distributor, and again, they've been made shy. And you'll notice that now we have a new rotation and position parent. And that's actually good for us, that it's a separate thing, because then we can just take that and, yeah, probably should push it back even further. And push it up in Y. And then, I don't know how this is going to work. I haven't actually tested this. Actually, I do know how it'll work. In this case, so we want to just add an expansion control to just these 5 trees. Now, in this case, I'm not going to select all 3D duplicates because that would select the grass as well. But I am going to do this. Now, this may cause a problem in the expression because of the way this thing is written, and it caused me a problem in the expression. Let's undo that. And of course, I don't have an undo thing set up, so I wonder what this has done to us. Okay, well, I guess realistically you can't quite yet add a second expansion control, but nevertheless, now because you can't set an additional expansion control, maybe in this case what you want to do is go here and just you know, I want to move that tree. I mean, because you can manually move these trees around. There's no reason why you can't if you don't have the expansion control set up. So let's just move a few trees around and see where that gets us. Let's move that forward, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so let's move our shot down a little bit. Maybe tilt up slightly. Push in a bit. Maybe tilt down again. I don't know. Let's take a look at our expansion control. Now this is only going to affect our grass. We want to reduce our grass expansion control. Oh, that's interesting. Apparently it has transferred everything over to this new expansion control layer. I suspect that will. Yeah, okay, well this is a bit buggy. I'm going to have to make some modifications to this, but let's adjust our X a little bit here. And then push it back up a bit. -2, let's say. And maybe have 2 views and let's see where our camera is here. So let's go to our right. Okay, so we set some keyframes there, and actually let's not make it a 60-second long comp. 6 seconds would work. Then end, and maybe just push in a little bit like that. Maybe we're pushing in through the grass a bit. I don't know. I mean, maybe. We'll see. Okay, so is this the greatest shot ever done? Well, probably not. But we can get a little bit of nice parallaxy 3D-ish kind of stuff going here. And obviously, with a lot more work, you can get something that doesn't look absolutely horrible. And so that's our shot. Now, obviously, you're going to want to fill in with a lot of stuff. You may want to do another set of grass, and it might help to use different grass assets as well. In this case, I was just using a single grass asset, and it looks okay, but it could look better if I had a few different ones. And the nice thing about that is you can set them up so that they're all, independently controllable. I'll probably get around to doing a version that has separate expansion controls for each set of things. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that, but I'll get that working at some point. So this is more or less a very quick and dirty thing on how to use this script. I'll do a better tutorial once I actually have a finished version that I would actually be willing to give to people. But for the moment, this you can still do some useful stuff with it. It's just it's a little bit wonky still. Anyway, that's how to use the 3D distribution script. Obviously, it's a pre-production version, version 0.03. Hopefully, I'll get it up to something usable in the near future. But anyway, hope this is useful, and thank you for watching. Bye.